Welcome to the third episode of Perspective. I'm very delighted to invite one of the best foster doggy mom out there for a chat. Today we'll chat all things about pet community, pet inclusivity, a bit about Adopt Don't Shop, and also pet travel. So, may I please welcome Lindsay to the show. So, for those who just tuned in, my name is Jenmin. I am Ronnie's mummy. Ronnie is right here. He's 5 years old, and since I adopted him and started an Instagram page, I've actually met quite a few people through Instagram. And most recently, Lindsay inboxed me from the Real Works of Dogs. Hey, can I feature Ronnie? So that's how we got connected. So maybe to start with you, a little bit of self-introduction. Why are you so passionate about dogs, your story, your inspiration, and tell us all about a few Instagram handles, please.
Oh my goodness me. Well, thank you so much for such a warm welcome. I'm really thrilled to be here today. And of course, speaking about my favorite topic. So I'm Lindsay. I've been passionate about dogs since before I can remember. I never played with dolls. I always played with stuffed toy animals. One of my favorite first toy was a dog called Rusty. I got my first dog when I was 3 years old, Holly, and we've always had family dogs. And the minute it was realistic and practical for me to get my own dog, I did so. So I adopted my first dog, 10 years ago. And she's no longer with us, Esky, beautiful Asiatic mongrel. But now I'm a dog mum to two dogs, Little Blue and Rain, my two foster fails. And we'll go into my foster journey later, I'm sure. And really, dogs have just always been a part of my life. It's been a real passion of mine, just simply because how much joy they bring us. But to tell you kind of a little bit about maybe my stories, particularly I think my foster story and some of the handles that I work on. So one of my biggest handles, which I love, a real passion project, is Why I Foster. So I started Why I Foster in 2019, right in the middle of that wonderful pandemic that we all enjoyed so much for those few years. I fostered, I got these two little puppies called Zach and Zia from Hong Kong Dog Rescue. And it was supposed to be a one-off. It was kind of something I wanted to try and be interested in. And it was just magical watching these two very sick little puppies grow into these young, healthy dogs. And then get adopted by two wonderful families. Zia still lives in Pok Fulam, I believe, and Zach is actually now living over in the UK. He emigrated. But it was supposed to be a one-off. It was supposed to be a one-off little project, something a little fun thing for me to do. Within weeks of them leaving for their forever homes, Hong Kong Dog Rescue reached out again asking if I could help with Simon and Stella. And we, of course, said yes. We jumped at the opportunity to help another couple of pups. Honestly, 4 years later, our house has rarely had less than 5 dogs in it. And we were in a very privileged place and we'd moved out to Sai Kung. We had a garden, which is so special, and especially in Hong Kong. Space, I had the time, I absolutely had the passion to be spending with these puppies. We've had more than 60 puppies join us over the last 4 years. We've had them from as young as 1, 2 days old. Sometimes they're still like their little umbilical cord was still wet from their mother when they were rescued and found. And we did the nightly bottle feeds, and we got them growing into these wonderful, wonderful dogs. And with the exception of just a couple, none of them had breeds, and they're all kind of mongrels, mutts, and tongaos. They're all mixed, and they're all just as loving, loyal, special, and wonderful as any dog that you might find that has that kind of breed label. So that's really kind of where my foster journey started.
And then what inspired you to start the latest? Well, I don't know if that's the latest because there's a third community about travel as well. Because I think I first start stalking your page was when you have the Why I Foster, because you have beautiful images and then you always take them to the beach. That's kind of how I started discovering your page actually. And then now just want to hear more about your new sort of venture and projects.
Fostering, I think.
Yes.
Originally, the reason I started Why I Foster was, of course, to get the dogs home. So that's what I wanted to do, and we had so much success with that. I was so honoured and touched that people were able to come to the page, see these puppies, and actually reach out and say, "Yes, I'd like to give a home to Simon, to Stella, to Zach, to Zia, to the myriad of other puppies." But I think you're right in what you just said. There's a lot of people who joined Why I Foster. They're not necessarily in the market to be able the puppy, but they're watching these dogs grow from very small pups into dogs. and seeing their journey and just recognizing they're normal dogs. They're not dogs with baggage. They're not dogs with trauma or problems. There's nothing wrong with them. And so I think I'm really proud that we're able to make a little dispelling the myths, I think, that often surround shelter dogs or dogs who spent any time in a shelter. Look at that. And that's what I'm so pleased at with that foster community. And I think I've taken that kind of ethos into the Real Wags of Hong Kong, and which is one of my other projects I'm working on to try and the Real Wags, and just to make sure listeners know what that is every day we post a photo of a Hong Kong dog. And we're 100% reliant on contributions, so it's only our followers will send us their dogs, and every day at 9 a.m. you can set your alarm to it. They bring so much joy to me. I know they bring so much joy to you, and to kind of all of our dog mums, and I want to share that. Definitely there is that undercurrent kind of ethos of, I really want to support the adopt don't shop mentality. I think it's absolutely the right thing to be doing, but I want to make sure this is a space where everyone feels welcome. Anyone who has dogs in their life is welcome at the Real Wags. We will feature any dog. And I'm hoping that there can come a lesson there, or a message is where people do see how many of these dogs are adopted. I'm hoping I can bring kind of shine a spotlight on the myriad of shelters in Hong Kong. I think 5 years ago, I could name 3, maybe 4. Now I'm realizing there's dozens and dozens of shelters all over Hong Kong doing amazing work. I want to shine a spotlight on them. And I also want to shine a spotlight just on how many of these dogs are from shelter backgrounds, and they're just as loved, just as loyal, just as wonderful animals. And so for the Real Wags, it is very much a positive, wanting to show people that dogs are great, but also I do want to have that kind of undercurrent message of just showing how many of them have been unlucky in life, where they spent maybe sometimes just 5 minutes in the shelter. Sometimes they've spent far too long. But that's kind of the Real Wags that we're focusing on at the moment, and that's a fun passion project. I get to meet a lot of people.
I couldn't agree more. Going to your comment about fostering, we recently over Christmas just also tried fostering for a neonatal puppy as well, because Ronnie Bear, he prefer humans, so it was a new experience for us. And then, for us, we also returned the puppy after 3 weeks, but it's literally grew from 300 grams to a kilo. And
Oh
I
my
think
gosh, she's magical.
he was rescued only about 6 months, so we have no idea what happened to him in the first 6 months, and then the rest is history. And he's happened to be 35 kilos. So yes, absolutely. There's huge shelter. And there's small shelters like the one that he got adopted, Hong Kong Paws, and then Hong Kong Dog Rescue. Everybody's doing great work. And I think that if we will, I'm sure, talk a little bit more about Adopt Don't Shop, but fantastic to be able to actually give exposure to people about dogs. I mean, my sister and I were lucky enough we grew up in Saigon actually.
Oh,
So
that.
since we were little, we had village dogs already, and then we had a smaller dog, and then of course now we have our own dog. So we start kind of seeing the culture of raising dogs actually, and people's perception about different village dogs changing in the past few years. About Tongao, we're very excited and very pleased that finally they're getting some limelight as well.
Oh, I fully agree on that. I think for me, growing up, I knew nothing about shelter dogs. I knew nothing about adopt. I had no idea there was any issues or problems with the kind of breeding situation with pet shops. For me, it was just normal. And certainly, my first few family dogs were all bought from breeders, and I'm not ashamed of that. They were wonderful dogs. But now looking back on it, it was purely just lack of. I mean, I was a child, but my parents' lack of awareness and my lack of awareness. I think it's only really for me being the last 10 years that I've become aware of the scale of the problem, the myriad of different issues we're facing, and how many dogs there are out there that need a family. And of course, it has made everything so much worse. I follow shelters all over the world, and unfortunately, the issues we have in Hong Kong are not unique to us at all. And you see it in every guise, and different countries have different challenges. But there's a big issue there with lack of awareness, lack of education, lack of messaging. And I think kind of any little bits that we can do to share that message that these dogs they're just unlucky. They got unlucky in life for some reason, and that's why they've ended up in a shelter. And they deserve a home just like anyone else. So I'm pleased you have seen that change. I've definitely seen that change in myself, and definitely seeing it in Hong Kong as we move towards a greater awareness of dogs' needs and the benefits of having them.
Absolutely, and I think you're right. I mean, some of course get abandoned, which is a bit of a situation in Hong Kong. But a lot of them is animal welfare that they forget to desex them, and whoops, that's 15 puppies. How am I going to get you 15 homes? It's all about education, and the people like you can do, and the shelter can do is really amazing. So, so back to a little bit about channel. We also hope to build a community both in English and in Cantonese as well. On your journey, what was your tip and advice? You've mentioned a little bit people may not be interested to adopt, but they still get exposure. How did you sort of, grow that community organically?
For me, I think it's all about positivity. It's about bringing dogs with you as you go. So for every interaction I have, I mean, I'm always talking about dogs. I'm always boring people with dogs, but I'm also showing them my dogs all the time. And whether it's a hike, whether it's a party, whether it's a barbecue, whether it's a day at the beach, I tend to have my dogs with me, and I tend to talk about whether it's my dogs or the foster dogs I'm looking after. I bring them with me and kind of let A experience the world and let people experience them. I think that it's very sad in Hong Kong that we do have a lot of people frightened of dogs. Now, some of that fear is understandable, and maybe they have a lack of exposure. But I think a lot of that fear is through lack of education or just lack of awareness of the wonders that dogs can be. And I think kind of just constantly speaking positively about dogs, bringing dogs along, showing how they can be part of our society is where I've kind of made in. And then, of course, by showing kind of these positive stories online, whether it's why I foster, showing them growing up, whether it's the real wags, just dogs in everyday life, in every guise of Hong Kong life. I'm trying to kind of just spread the word and show that dogs are a part of our family. And I think a lot of people feel that way.